Hello, all benders and non-benders, and welcome back to Avatar Generations. And today, we are going to be doing an analysis of Fire Princess Azula, the newest firebending chaos character in Avatar Generations, and arguably one of the most anticipated characters in the game. Before we get started, if you have not already, please like the video and subscribe. We've got Azula today, and very soon we shall have May and Ty Lee as well, so subscribe so you can be notified when those come out. Now, let us get into Azula because she has a lot going on here. First of all, her basic Brilliant Blaze deals blazing damage to a single target. Blazing damage meaning that it will inflict the blue flame element on the enemy for 2 turns, ignoring resistance. Blue flame is basically the same thing as the flame debuff, but it can actually stack with it. So you get increased damage from having a regular fire debuff. You can get increased damage from having a blue flame debuff on top of that. Trigger the hidden skill Prodigy of the Pyre when the caster attacks when they have 2 or more stacks of charge. Prodigy of the Pyre deals 2 hits of wounding damage and inflicts a blue flame per hit, and then gains 1 stack of charge for 3 turns. And what wound damage will do is it deals additional damage to all if 2 or more negative effects are active. So basically, this attack is a hit to deal the blue flame damage, and if she has 2 stacks of charge, which we'll talk about very soon, she basically gets to deal another hit, which will do 2 hits and then possibly become an AoE if the enemy has debuffs on them. So already we're off to a very powerful start there with her basic. Now, let's talk about her advanced, Azure Flame. Deals 2 hits of explosive damage to 1 target. This means that damage dealt to the front line will hit all opponents after that. So basically, if you hit the front line, it will become an AoE. We've already seen this on Rongi before. Inflict blue flame on all enemies for 2 turns. Increase the rank of blue flames on the target by 1 if the caster has 3 or more stacks of charge active. So basically, this is very much your opener move where you hit the front line and get everybody damaged and everybody with the blue flame debuff. Now, let's talk about her passive here. Almost isn't good enough. Immune to negative effects. Now, right out the gate, we're off to a wild start. Basically, what this means, she can't be debuffed. She can't be stunned. She can't have anything done to her. She doesn't care. She just can't be debuffed straight up. That right out the gate is already insane, but oh, we're not done. Gain 2 stacks of charge whenever the caster attacks with their basic or advanced skill. So basically whenever they attack. And charge gives her 5% focus when earned and increases her speed by 5%. The advanced skill becomes Azure Flame, which is a typo. It actually should be Azure Assault, when 5 stacks of charge are present. Now, what is Azure Assault? Deal shockwave damage to all enemies. This increases damage dealt based on your speed and the enemy's current speed, so two scalings there, with a 50% chance to stun the backline enemy if this attack lands on front or sidelines. So basically, if you're attacking either the front line or one of the sides, you have a chance of also stunning the backline. Trigger the hidden skill Lightning Strike. If 7 stacks of charge are present on the caster, this attack cannot be countered. Now, what is Lightning Strike? You get to 7 stacks of charge. Lightning Strike, hidden skill, remove positive effects, and deal lightning damage to enemy. Now, lightning damage deals 100% of the target's max HP as damage, ignoring defense and reduction. This is a one-shot KO. Unless they have something that can keep them alive, for example, something like, Kiwok being in her ice form, Ronin Zuko or Moonslayer Zhao's immunity, things like that that can't be removed. Unless they have something like that, This is going to put them down, period. Then inflict shock for 2 turns, and this will be on all enemies. Basically, shock will deal damage to them when it's applied, and then deal additional damage on their turn, pretty much. And then lose all charge stacks. So that basically resets once she pops this lightning strike. It's a one-shot KO, period. And the animation is really cool, in my opinion. Now, last thing we want to talk about here is the passive with the skill masteries. Mastery level 2. Increase turn bar of the caster by 10% when they are part of a team combo. So basically, whenever she's used in a combo, she's getting 10% turn bar. Can't go wrong there. Level 3. Transform all fire elements on the enemy team into rank 2 blue flames for 2 turns when the caster attacks. So basically, if they already have a fire element on them, even if it's only a rank 1, it will get a nice little upgrade to rank 2, can really stack it on the enemy. And then Mastery level 4, gain Vanish for 1 turn. When the caster takes damage, this has a 1 turn cooldown. So basically, the first time she takes damage, she'll take that damage, but then go into a Vanish state, meaning she can't be hit again until she attacks to shake off that Vanish. It basically makes her invisible. That, especially considering how much damage she does, that is a nasty effect, because you can't even put her down reliably and stop her from attacking, because she's just going to go invisible and then smack you on your next turn. So, there's a lot going on with her kit here. So basically, here's what playing Azula kind of tends to go like. Usually you start with Azure Flame, you hit the front line, get it damage on everybody. That gives you your 2 stacks of charge right there. Next, what you typically do is you use your Brilliant Blaze. By this point, you have the 2 stacks of charge from the first attack, so you'll do your first strike, and then follow it up with your second strike, leaving you with 5 stacks of charge. Now, after that, you can kind of go one of 2 ways, depending on the situation. If you want, at this point you have 5 stacks of charge. If you want to do heavy damage to one enemy, you can use your basic again. Or, if you're really trying to hit the back line, or you want to hit everybody, you can use your Azure Assault. Keep in mind, you only have 5 stacks of charge at this point, so you will not be using Lightning Strike, you'll just be doing the chop hit. Cool thing about Azure Assault is it doesn't actually have a cooldown, so as long as you have those stacks of charge, you can use it however much you want. Now at this point, once you've used either your basic again or your Azure Assault, that will get you up to the 7 charges, which will then allow you to attack once more and trigger the Lightning Strike. So that's kind of how playing Azula tends to go. The one thing I will say is that battles don't often last long enough for her to get there, in my opinion. I mean, they can, depending. I mean, you might be up against like a Kiwok or something, somebody who's just really, really good at making the battle last a long time, in which case, yeah. But you won't always see it used, but when you do use it, you'll be glad you have it, because it is just a boom, the enemy is gone, period. That is Azula. Now, let's talk about how to build her, because there's a few ways you can go. You can either go kind of a hybrid of attack and defense, is some things I've seen, to give her a little more bulk. But me personally, I think you just want her to be fast. I think you just want some nice, raw speed. You'll notice here, I do have the 4 set of the speed set here. I also do have the speed feather here. This is actually a crit damage feather that I have her mixed with. If at all possible, you could go for, maybe you got some luck with the Ronin set back during the Zuko event. Maybe you got a nice speed feather from that. So then you could have a 4 set of speed combined with a 2 set of speed. Or you could go for the speed set like I have here and crit damage or attack. One of those 2 would serve you pretty well, but really, go for your best arts. The reason I have it on crit damage here is, of course, I got this really nice feather, but also I have this very nice mask with 10 speed. That's kind of what I've got going on here. That's why we have crit damage, and of course, while she won't always crit, she will sometimes crit, and that's when that will really come in handy. Now, for her supports, the banner actually does come with the Mongoose Dragon. This is a 5-star Team Azula support, but let's be fair here, this is a premium option. Cool thing about it though is it gives a massive speed boost to Team Azula faction heroes. I mean, 30%. That's a lot of speed. That's a whole lot of speed, but this is a premium option. Realistically speaking, your two options are going to be either the Messenger Hawk. This works on firebenders and increases the speed of fire element heroes by 20%, or the Komodo Rhino. This increases crit damage of all Fire Nation characters. Here's the kicker. If you're trying to decide which support to use on a team, this will increase Azula's speed. This will not increase Ty Lee or May's speed, because remember, Ty Lee and May are not actually firebenders. They are Fire Nation characters, but they're actually special element heroes. So that's kind of something to keep in mind there. This gets dramatically more use if you're using kind of a hybrid team of Iroh and Ronin Zuko, along with, like, let's say Azula and a fourth character like maybe the Warden or Kiwak or Prisoner Tyro. That is when this actually does get some really nice use, because you're more so focusing on firebenders as opposed to Team Azula. This will work with all Team Azula characters because they are all Fire Nation characters, increasing your crit damage, but you do lose out on that speed. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind there. If you don't have the Mongoose Dragon, because that is kind of a high premium, Messenger Hawk is probably the best way to go for your team, even if you are losing some speed on Ty Lee and May. You really want Azula to be cooking as fast as possible. Okay, now let's talk about relics, and she has a lot of options on relics, both premium and free to play. First, let's talk about what is probably going to be her #1 free-to-play option, and that is the Pursuit of Perfection. This is acquirable from the event shop for the current event quest related to Team Azula. It's for Team Azula characters, and what it does, it increases the attack and accuracy of all Team Azula allies by 30% and steals 35% focus whenever the caster defeats an enemy. So basically, even at base, even if you just get one copy, you're getting a massive attack and accuracy buff that is extremely helpful. And then, whenever you put somebody down, and she will do that often, you're stealing focus from them for your team, allowing you to use more combos and more ultimates. Now, the interesting thing with this is it can be used on any Team Azula character, Azula, May, or Ty Lee. You almost definitely want to have one of them using this relic. I personally have it on my Azula. But you really... I did not mean to do that. You really want this because of that attack and accuracy buff. It goes a long way in a hurry. But let's talk about some other options here, because there are a lot of options. First, let's take a look at some free-to-play options here. Sheer Shoe Darts are very good. You can get these from the Timeline shop. They work on Chaos characters. 60% chance to inflict Restrict on up to 2 enemies for 1 turn if the enemy has a debuff when the caster attacks on their turn. You're going to be inflicting a pretty fair number of debuffs. Restrict basically tanks both the defense and resistance of the enemy. That's never a bad thing. Now, if you got this from the Summer Festival event, this was kind of the summer relic that was themed specifically on Azula, the Burning Net. What this will do here is 60% chance to inflict stun for 1 turn on the target enemy if a rank 2 element or higher is present when the caster attacks on their turn. Now, with the Blue Flame element, you can get to rank 2 pretty easily. I think May can also inflict rank 2 special elements, which means that if you feel the need to use this relic, you can sometimes squeak out some stuns. It's not a guaranteed chance, it is only a 60% chance here, and of course you always have to beat that resistance check, but that is an option. Also, the old reliable Beach Umbrella, this thing, even post-nerf, is still very helpful. Increase turn bar and increase the attack stat of all allies by 15% for 2 turns when any character on the field is defeated. This is a fantastic way to generate some turn bar, but again, it's kind of the same situation as Pursuit of Perfection, where it can be used on any one of the characters, Mei, Azula, or Ty Lee, because they are all Fire Nation characters. Now, maybe some more premium options to consider here. First of all, the 4-star Princess's Crown. This is available on the current banner. It's a 4-star, so not quite as premium, but is usable on Firebender and Royalty characters, and what this will do, the caster gains immunity to attack stat decreasing effects for the duration of battle, with a 23% chance to gain an extra turn when the caster attacks. Now, keep in mind Azula's kit. You want her to be attacking early and attacking often to build up those charge stacks. This thing makes that happen in a pretty huge way, actually. The fact that you can get an extra turn every now and then, I think it's 25% at maximum, and she attacks pretty often. The fact that you can get that extra turn can really turn a battle in your favor. If you don't have a really good 5-star, like you don't have Pursuit of Perfection, or maybe you have that on a different character, this one is not a bad way to go. It can also prevent pesky attack debuffs from effects that aren't necessarily negative effects, but just more so stat decreases. This can really turn your nose up to that and just say, nah. So this is actually a fantastic relic. Her signature relic is the Royal Palanquin here, usable by Chaos and Royalty characters. Permanently increase speed by 24% for every 25% of HP lost for the first time, and grant 20% increased turn bar when the caster is part of a team combo. So basically, this is a massive speed buff when she loses HP, and she grants a 20% increased turn bar to herself whenever she's used in a combo. This can stack with her mastery level 2, which is an additional 10%, totaling to 30%. If you were able to get this maxed out, this is an exceptionally dangerous option because, again, you want Azula to be attacking early and attacking often to get those charge stacks, and this is exclusively tailored towards making that happen. Now, let's say you want to go for a slightly more bulky route. I present you with the Black Bouquet, usable by Team Azula characters. Cap the damage at each attack received to no more than, right now it's 40%, if you get it maxed out, I think it's like 28%, something like that, I forget, of the caster's max HP. This can only happen once per turn at each HP threshold it triggers at. This effect is only active for the first 5 turns of battle. Now, what does this mean? This one's a little funky, but basically, it will stop you from dealing damage on your turn if you exceed a certain threshold. In this case, it's 44%, but what you'll see is you'll be attacking the character, and then you'll just start doing weak hits or just do a nothing hit that barely does any damage because this has blocked it. It doesn't work for the whole battle, it only works a certain number of times, and will only be active for the first 5 turns of battle. But this is basically a guaranteed you can't kill me relic. Unless you are really unleashing pain on them with a dozen different turns, this is going to keep your character alive. If you want to go for more of the bulky route, the Black Bouquet is a fantastic option. So just to recap, free to play, best option, Pursuit of Perfection, plenty of 4-star options as well, and then of course these 3 as some more premium options from her banner. But that is all we have to talk about with Azula. She is an indisputably amazing character, as she should be, and she is only made stronger when combined with the Team Azula allies, Ty Lee and Mei, who we shall be talking about in the very near future. So come back soon for that, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one.